BanditInspiration.com.
Several months back, I did a review of Bad Boys 2. And I talked about how it was, for its time, a very solid action movie, but that it had not aged well. I was confident that a third movie made now would improve upon the things that didn't work in the first two, that didn't hold up. Bad Boys for Life did not. And that's not to say it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. But it's Bad Boys 1 and 2. That's all it is. It's not an evolution. It's not a step up. It's just Bad Boys again. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence both continue to be good in their respective roles as the two hotshot Miami police officers, except now really only Will Smith is the hotshot police officer. Martin Lawrence is he retires for most of the movie, and he's kind of sidelined. This is not a buddy cop movie in the way that you would think of one, because the buddy isn't there. Martin Lawrence isn't there for a lot of it, or he's not in on the action. This is a Will Smith movie. It's a good Will Smith movie. It's not a great Will Smith movie, but it's a good one. And the plot, such as it is Martin Lawrence decides to retire. Will Smith, he gets there's an assassination attempt on him. He's wounded, shot up pretty bad, recovers, but Will Smith wants revenge now. He wants to go find the guy who did this to him. And Martin Lawrence is having none of it. He's just like, I'm retired. I'm done. We're too old for this shit. And so Will Smith teams up with a group of younger officers, because that's what you do. And a team of officers called Emo, with the tech guy and the, all the gadgets and whatnot. The guy who talks about being in therapy, and there's sort of this convoluted plot about this Mexican, I think this drug dealer's wife, who Will Smith had a relationship with, and she wants revenge because he sent her to prison, and she's sending her son, her now grown son, after him. Nothing has changed in 18 years since the last one. Joe Pompliano is still the captain. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are, still detectives. Nobody's risen in the ranks. Nobody's, Martin Lawrence is now a grandfather, but he's still essentially the same person. They're all the same people. Nothing has changed. Uh, it's sort of a point of the movie that Will Smith hasn't changed. That is, Martin Lawrence is telling him, "You gotta, we're not 25 anymore." But he acts like he's 25 and he gets away with it. You know, they sort of they want to show that he's not as young as he used to be, but they show that by shooting him, and not by him being kind of creaky and having arthritis and bad back. Um, there was a chance here to do something different, to do something, maybe not have Joey Pants in it. Maybe Martin Lawrence is the captain now, and he and Will Smith are kind of clashing because Martin Lawrence is now like he's in charge, and he's the one that's got to answer for what Will Smith is doing out there, blowing shit up, blah 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 blah, and there something happens where they have to once again get the old team together and go out and bust the bad guys. But they didn't do that. Everybody is still kind of there in the same place, doing the same thing, and there's some attempted growth, but by the end of the movie, they're the same characters. They're the same. Excuse me. Same characters at the end of the third movie that they are in the beginning of the first movie. And that's just not all that interesting to watch. Michael Bay is not the director this time around. And as much as Michael Bay is a director that I'm not fond of, you do kind of miss a little bit the bombastic Bay style that maybe doesn't work for something like Transformers, but did work for like a solid action movie. Michael Bay's action movies are not bad. The Bad Boys movies, The Rock, those are good, solid action movies. It's when he sort of ventures into big epic sci-fi stuff or Pearl Harbor or something like that his shortcomings become visible. But this time there's a little flair that's missing from it. It's a solidly directed movie, and if I didn't have the other two to compare it to, then I wouldn't think of anything of it. But it's enjoyable, but forgettable. Like I said, I can't even remember anymore where the bad guys are from. Are they Cuban? Are they, I just watched this movie earlier this week and I can't remember half the plot. It's the second time I've seen it because I saw it in the theater, and very little is sort of sticking in my head other than the big set pieces. The new characters, the younger characters, I'm so sick of that. I'm so tired of you get the feeling like if they do Bad Boys 4, this is how they want to continue it, with a younger team kind of handling a lot of the action that the older guys can't do. And who's interested in that? You go see Bad Boys because you want to see Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. This is not going to be a legacy thing. This is not going to be passing the torch and then Bad Boys 5 will, Martin and Will won't even be in it. Nobody's interested in that. If you're looking for a distraction and you want to see cool people blow shit up, Bad Boys for Life will scratch that itch. If you're looking for something, I guess really if you're watching a Bad Boys movie, you're not in it for depth. You're not in it for character. You're not in it for any of that. You're in it to see, Will Smith be cool, Martin Lawrence be funny, and gunfights and car chases. And you get that from this movie. So because it accomplishes what it does, and because it's really as good, really, as the other two Bad Boys movies, I'm going to go 3 out of 5, which is what I would give Bad Boys 1 and 2. Good enough to where I'm glad I own it. I will probably revisit these movies every 10 or 15 years, but they don't hold the same place in my heart that they did when I was 15.
Their worlds. Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,